What about the anarchy possibilities that would happen in an urban environment like New York or London? That's what I worry about.
Yeah, people really, really love that scenario.
Is that because
right?
it's in the movies or why?
Well, but here's the weird thing, right? I mean, the world has a long history of completely fucked up situations, right?
Okay.
Can you name one where you got prolonged stable anarchy on the streets and people were eating each other?
Now that comes to
Right?
mind.
It just never happened,
So
right?
some gang will take over, some force will take over.
You get things like, I'm trying to think, was it St. Petersburg, right? So there's a long siege from the Nazis,
Right.
there's a bit of cannibalism, not very much, but a little goes a long way.
Stalingrad. Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking.
New movie about it recently. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it's pretty good.
I don't know why I was thinking. Yes, Stalingrad, not St. Petersburg. So, what did it take to produce Stalingrad, right? It took the Second World War, and it was only Stalingrad. People got hungry, there was a bit of looting, there was a bit of violence in other places. But the really serious, like, oh my God, it's all gone wrong thing only really happened in one place, and it took a blockade to make it happen.
Right.
And that's generally speaking true, right? Anytime you hear about something like a famine, in almost every circumstance, the famine is produced by a government killing the free market locally.
Right. There's a whole history about that. Even the famine of Ireland, which you have ties to. Are you
yeah.
from there?
No, I live there most of the time.
Okay.
But I can get there.
A lot of things were politically motivated.
Oh, absolutely. They were still...
Right. It wasn't the lack of food. It was just the Irish weren't getting the food.
They were exporting grain from Ireland right the way through the famine.
Right. I've heard this.
So Live Aid, right? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, this enormous festival to raise money for Ethiopia. They sent 48,000 or 56,000 tons of food down to Ethiopia. The government let it rot on the docks. They didn't want the people fed, they wanted the people dead. Right.
When the U.S. first went into Somalia, it was because the power lords weren't allowing the food to be delivered to the people. Mm-hmm. It was a political movement.
It's very political, right?
Okay.
Somalia is a really complicated place, but during the period when it was run by the Union of Islamic Courts, they had anarchic governments in a way that a lot of libertarians could relate to, albeit under Muslim law. Then you go to anarchy, where just nothing works. Now they've got central government again. But, throughout that period, you don't get the famines until you put somebody in charge and that person decides that part of their population is expendable. This is why I am radically pro-gun rights, which is a really unusual position for a Brit.
Interesting.
Because all the way through history, right, every time that somebody is going to have a genocide, the first thing they do is ban firearms. There's a site called armthevictims.org. And it's just a list of all the genocides with the gun laws that preceded them, and then, a little bit of information about what happened. And to me, that's the single compelling fact of human history, is that in the 20th century, the state killed 250 million people in death camps. Right? About half or a third as many people died of smallpox, died in gulags and ghettos and all the rest of this kind of stuff. Like, it was a century of genocide.